okay, maybe this is, okay, no dropped frames. Looks like my connection is good. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I can't sleep, so I'm just gonna stream some boring bullshit, I suppose. Yeah. So, I planned on making a video to, like, I guess more or less predict, like a prediction video about the Final Fantasy set coming out soon. That obviously didn't pan out super well. I didn't meet the deadline, and they already released some spoilers for some of the cards. But they didn't release as much as I thought, so a part of me kind of wishes I didn't just burn down everything, deleting the audio and everything I had worked on. Just maybe should have edited some of it out and said that some of these predictions, I don't know, you'll just have to take my word for it or something, and then uploaded the video anyway. But I didn't do that. I just deleted it because I couldn't earnestly or sincerely upload a prediction video as spoilers were already coming out, especially for many of the cards I had already made predictions for. You'll just have to take my word that I was right about some of these things, I guess. But anyway, given that there is still a large amount of the set that hasn't been released yet, I don't mind at least predicting or making assumptions about what some of the cards might be from the set itself that hasn't been revealed yet. And I also just don't mind talking about some of the stuff that's already been released. I don't mind going over it, I suppose. Yeah, one of the things that I predicted in my video before I deleted it all was that I was under the assumption that Wizards and Square Enix were going to take the easy route, I suppose is what you could call it, of making an entire commander deck, so to speak, some product like that, like with the Doctor Who set, where each of the protagonists would have been lumped together in one deck, like Boros or Jeskai. And then the other deck would have been the villains, like just a bunch of the Final Fantasy villains, grouped up, lumped up together in like Rakdos Stamir, but like the face commander would be like Grixis. And I don't know, I knew there were going to be 4 decks, so another proposition, another... It's late. I can't sleep, my brain is still mush. But another idea that I had was that because there were 4 decks, I was maybe thinking that they could get a little creative and separate them by, like, time periods, and to differentiate easily, they would separate them, so like every Final Fantasy game from 1 to 6, I'd say, would be its own deck. And then like every Final Fantasy game from, I don't know, 7 to 10. But yeah, that didn't quite happen. Sorry, changing the screen for a minute. Yeah, so I don't know. Basically, is what they actually did is they kind of just asked some of the people working on this stuff, like I guess people working on the cards, or I forget who, but they released like some blog or statement about how they came to this conclusion or this idea, and it was basically just they asked like who their favorite characters were, like what their favorite games were, and I guess the people in charge of designing the decks for the 4 commander decks said 6, 7, 10, and 14, I think. Yeah, 14. So, they decided to ultimately just make 4 commander decks, each centered specifically around an entire game from the franchise. So like an entire commander deck solely focused around Final Fantasy X, which I think this is actually a at least better case scenario for me. I wasn't really looking forward to the uncreative schlop of smashing together a bunch of protagonists, no matter how different they are, into some deck just so that you can fit the color combination for the commander deck. I was not looking forward to that. That was a prediction that I was actually kind of hoping wouldn't come to fruition, and so I'm happy that it didn't, I guess. The predictions that I made that were correct were more like, I don't know, a lot of the protagonists, well, that we've seen so far, I made assumptions on Cloud being Boros. I did actually also think that Cloud maybe had the potential to be Naya. I was pretty set on Boros. And at least one card from Cloud is Boros. Like, we have Cloud Planet's Champion here. This is pretty much entirely what I thought at least one of the Cloud cards could do. I was not sure how many cards each protagonist would get, but I guess from the set itself there is going to be more cards for each of the protagonists, so thank God this is not going to be the only Titus we get, because if I'm being totally honest, I'm not a big fan of his commander phase card being some anime-only art, while all the other characters have that really cool, slightly Western stylized magic art. It's like kind of painterly. That kind of disappoints me. Whatever, it is what it is. I still like the card. But anyway, not getting off topic. Yeah, I thought Cloud was going to be Boros, and then I made like somewhat a joke, somewhat not a joke statement that maybe they could be Naya because they're in favor of keeping the natural world from not being consumed by Sephiroth at the very least, I suppose. But yeah, I was pretty spot on with the Boros prediction. I also, I mean, not that this was a hard guess, knew that Cloud was going to be a mercenary or soldier creature. Not the hardest prediction to make, but I don't know. Cool that none of my predictions as far as typing and even down to the keywords were really that wrong. I also actually assumed that Cloud would be equipment focused, which again, probably not a hard guess, but I also did just throw in Double Strike too. I remember saying Cloud could have First Strike or Double Strike and then Haste, and one of the cards has Haste, but neither has Haste and Double Strike, and neither has First Strike. So I think Cloud was maybe my most accurate prediction. I mean, again, you just have to take my word for it. I can't really prove it now, unfortunately. But Terra, I have to be honest, kind of just came right out of left field. There was no way in hell that I was ever coming close to Mardu for Terra, and honestly, this one makes the least amount of sense to me for the spoilers. I don't think Terra's Mardu. My prediction was maybe Jeskai to fit her in with the deck, or is it? She seemed like big is it to me, like she was an is it card. I mean, the game is like the first Final Fantasy game where you play as a predominantly magic focused character. Well, more or less, more magic than some of the previous protagonists, at least depending on classes you picked in those games. But Terra was a well-rounded like fighter mage. She was strong and could like physically attack and hit hard, but a lot of her power was also in her transformation and magic abilities. And as far as like the personality goes, Mardu, I just don't think fits her very well. Like, I don't know, I'm having a hard time thinking of any Mardu character right now, at the moment, that I think maybe aligns with Terra and her personality of a carefree, honest, upright, passionate, like, savior of the natural world. She really did feel more like Jeskai, or something with white, but not black, maybe red. I could see green, and I could definitely see blue. Um, let's see. This card, yeah, this card was maybe my worst prediction. I also didn't think that they would just slap Human Wizard on her card. I was kind of hoping they would do what they did in the Lord of the Rings set, which is they gave some new typings, like for hobbits, because Terra's not a human. Terra is partially human, but Terra is an Esper. Now, I guess it would be a little confusing to have a creature type Esper and not have her color typing Esper, but I don't know. I'm mildly disappointed by that. I guess it's better than Legendary Alien Wizard Warrior, maybe? I don't know. Not really. I guess they would have to do too much, because a lot of these characters have different names, because they're not all humans. I don't know. It's mildly disappointing to me, but it's far from my greatest gripe, which is Terra being a Mardu card that resurrects from the graveyard. None of this on her card makes much sense to me. I did predict Trance, her ability to transform, but again, this card doesn't even flip. I predicted that her card would flip. I predicted that many of the cards in this set would flip, and I'm happy that Cecil, which I'll try to get to in a minute, flips. I'm hoping there's many more cards that flip. There's also Emmett Silch, who is another card that I assumed would flip. I also assumed Emmett Silch would maybe have 3 cards. I assumed many of these characters, antagonists mostly, would have 3 cards. You kind of can't do this set and not give the antagonists 3 cards, because Final Fantasy villains are transforming all the time. Like, just pick a random villain and they probably have 3 transformations. But yeah, Terra kind of threw me for a hard curve. I really kind of crashed into the wall on that prediction, but in my defense, I think it makes maybe the least amount of sense out of any of the cards that they've revealed so far, to be honest. I would say that every other card they've revealed so far makes a good amount of sense, or is just completely flavorful and almost entirely accurate. We have Jumbo Cactar, which everybody else, I think, has already said all that you can say about this card, so I don't really have much to say about it. It does what you see right there. Like, you can read that. Everybody else has mentioned it. Yeah, it's cool. And then I don't have much to say about Saz's Chocobo. I'd rather just see what Saz themselves does. But, yeah, one of my predictions basically was, also backgrounds. Or, well, maybe not backgrounds, but something adjacent to backgrounds, which, was jobs. I thought that we would maybe see jobs from this set. Like, you know, what changed your, position in the early games. Like, you could be not just a human, but assign the sorcerer job, or like healer, or like white knight, or blue mage, or any of these things. And then in some of the later games, like 3, it was or 3 or 4, it was dragoon and onion knight. Sorry, had like a hair in my throat. But yeah, I'm still hoping for that. They haven't revealed much of the set yet, actually, just kind of a few spoilers. So I'm still kind of hoping for something like jobs, something like this. Choose a job for this creature. Something very similar to a background. It will add to the card, maybe even add a whole new color. So like if you have, I don't know, Warrior of Light, and it's like a generic legendary creature card with like white, and then, I don't know, maybe the ability First Strike or Lifelink, and then that's about it. And then it's like a 2/2. You would attach like a job to it, and it would do like what a background did, obviously. Maybe the background is like green, so it would give it green. So now it's, what is that? My brain is mush. Selesnya. Shit, I'm sorry. And that would maybe like, give it First Strike, or maybe give it like a unique ability, something that I just can't think of right now. Like, make a duplicate of this creature every end step, except that duplicate is a token, and it has +1/+1 for every enchantment out. I don't know. Something unique and fun and not busted, because Wizards would never release something before really making sure that they don't have to ban it later in a certain format. But anyway, Sephiroth, I don't remember. I think I gave Sephiroth Grixis, so I mean, close enough. This Sephiroth is Dimir, and I was assuming Sephiroth would have Vigilance. I thought they would also just tack on Reach because of how fucking long his sword is. I guess they didn't think of that though, or they just didn't find it that funny. When Sephiroth enters, creatures your opponent's control get -2/-2 until end of turn. I don't remember if I don't think I assumed that this Sephiroth would be like a Massacre Worm. Granted, a lot of this is fairly similar to what I thought Sephiroth would do or be. I also thought maybe Sephiroth would flip or have a few different cards, and I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of the stuff from the set yet, so there could be a Sephiroth with flying. I also assumed Sephiroth would be around a 4/4, at least his first card. And then, yeah, let's see, let's move on. Emmett Silch, I thought would have a few cards. I don't know much about Final Fantasy XIV, but for my video I did like a lot of extensive research. I like stayed up a couple nights even. And Emmett Silch, I guess, is a popular antagonist from Final Fantasy XIV. And although I don't know much about Emmett, this is fairly spot on. Again, I just predicted it would also have red Grixis. But I also did think that Emmett would have Vigilance. I didn't have any reason for it. I just kind of tacked on Vigilance a few times. Vigilance, Double Strike, First Strike, and Lifelink were the keywords that I kept tacking on a lot of these cards, and I mean, yeah, I was right. Just blind luck, I suppose. But kind of cool. The flip card for Emmett, I'll be honest, I could not have predicted any of that shit. Cool card. I like what it does. I did not predict that Emmett would be a, what is it, Yawgmoth's Will creature. I think I'm getting it correctly. It's late. I probably shouldn't have decided to live stream right now. I actually guess I should check and see if anybody's even in here. No, I don't think so. Okay. Sorry, I'm just checking the comments, making sure. Yeah, I don't think anybody is in here. Shit, it says I'm dropping frames. I really hope this isn't consistent. Yeah. Shit, it's not getting any better. Okay. If anybody happens to be in here, I can't really see that well right now. Just tell me if I'm not super audible, or if my voice is a little funky. It says on OBS that I have kind of a poor connection right now, and that I'm dropping frames. It's a little annoying. But anyway, yeah, back to the video. Onyx Soldier. So, Titus... Let's see... Yuna's Guardian. Yeah, this was another card that I was fairly close to predicting correctly. Again, I had assumed that a lot of the protagonists were just going to be Jeskai. I didn't really see blue on Titus though. Titus I thought would just be Boros. But no, Titus also has blue on him, so I don't know. I really did assume Titus would have red. Honestly, I think that, at least from a personality perspective, really fits his character. I guess Square Enix and Wizards did not have that same idea in mind, though. And then as far as abilities go, I somehow did not predict that Titus would be, like, from a mechanics standpoint, close to the sphere grid system, which is evidently what they're doing with this Titus, at least. I like this card, though. I think it's cool. I don't like the art that much. I really don't like the anime aesthetic. I'm just not really that into anime, I guess. At least this kind of, like, anime look. I very much so prefer, like, a painter semi-realism look. Like, much of Magic in general. But, whatever. Minor gripe for me. It's not the biggest deal ever. This Titus, though, yeah, I was also a little bit wrong on what it would do. I was also coming into the video from the perspective that it was going to be extremely difficult to predict what the unique abilities for a lot of these cards would do, because, I mean, to an extent, a lot of these abilities are going to be new, like, not easily predictable. But one of the predictions that I was really hoping would work was, or would at least come true, was jobs. I'll stop bringing that up now. I've already brought it up a lot, but hoping that still happens. I think it's a cool idea. I'm also welcome for more backgrounds or whatever jobs would be. I'd prefer if they were like background and then like slash jobs. That way you could attach jobs to creatures that already exist that say pick a background. Maybe a bit optimistic though. Maybe none of this is even going to happen. But I suppose moving on to Cecil. Cecil was pretty much exactly what I thought they would do. I thought that Cecil would flip. I also thought Cecil would either be... I think I remember being black and then flipping into white. I predicted that Cecil would have the ability Darkness, but I had a totally different idea in mind, and that was that Cecil would... Whenever Cecil attacked, you would lose HP, but the HP you lost you could dish out to an opponent. And that's what I thought Darkness would do, or it would just hit harder. It would add on to your power. So, like, if Cecil attacked, your power is, like, 2. And then, mostly, one of my predictions was that, you know, when you attack, if your power is 2, or if it's 4 because you have an equipment attached, then you could dish out that amount of damage to... I don't know how I worded it. I think any one target, or maybe spread out among targets. I can't remember that now. Something akin to that, though. Again, I'm sorry if my voice is choppy. I can't really check and see right now. I don't really have any way of doing that. That would be easy, I suppose. But, yeah. Sin, I did not make a prediction for Sin in my video. I like what this Sin does. I think it's flavorful. 7/7. That's around the power I'd give it. I assume I might go a little higher actually. I might put it at a solid 8. But I don't know. I played Final Fantasy X, and I don't know. 7/7 feels like it's fine. Flying, yeah, that fits. Avatar, yeah, just a projection or armor of Yu Yevon. Sin Spear's Punishment. The colors, I think, are pretty good. I don't really have any qualms there. And then, when Sin enters or attacks permanent, exile a permanent card from your graveyard from random, then create a tap token that's a copy of that card if the exiled card is a land card. Repeat this process. I like that. It's fairly flavorful to the idea of Sin continuing to keep the dream alive and tacking on to the illusion that Yu Yevon is trying to, like, project, so to speak, while also just eating up the real world. I could have said that so much better, but yeah, I like it. It's flavorful to the game, at least, for the most part. Garland, I was not expecting this. I was not expecting I was not expecting Garland to transform or flip into you can't see the flip here on this site, but flips into chaos, which I don't think Garland did that in the original game or in any remakes. I think chaos was pretty specific to Dissidia. Was not expecting that, actually. I think it's pretty cool that Dissidia is ever so slightly kind of seeping into the I don't want to say mainstream, that doesn't make sense, but like not canon either, but like some of the design choices are at the very least seeping into canon. And also apparently this set, because this specific Garland is the Garland from Dissidia as well, and it's not like Garland had like any real prominent art to go off of before that, considering Final Fantasy 1 being the first game was just like a cluster of pixels. I mean, you kind of had to use your imagination to an extent. Regardless, enough yapping about that, I suppose. Cool, I like it. And then I guess the last thing I have to say for this video, because some of these characters I just don't have a lot of experience with or particularly care about. Not the games I played. I've never been that into 14 or any MMORPG in particular. So I don't have much to say about Istola, Nice Blessed. I think it's a cool card. I think the art for her is pretty cool. And I like that. I like the colors they gave her. Again, I don't know if it's accurate, but yeah, cool card. But I want to talk about the summon here, because I had also predicted that summons would be like some kind of creature enchantment or something like this, some kind of saga creature. And yeah, that ended up happening. Again, probably not a hard guess to come to what summons would do. Just a creature that does a whole lot extra. And I'm happy with it. So far we've only seen Shiva, but I mean, there's I'm assuming gonna be more. There kind of has to be, right? It's kind of late, so I kind of want to wrap this up soon, especially since it seems like I'm still the only one in here. But yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say tonight. I'm pretty happy with the set so far. And I'm pretty happy with what the limited cards that have been spoiled. I'm pretty happy with sorry, brainwash moment. I'm pretty happy with yeah, what we have seen. I think I think the set is probably gonna drain my wallet, like I said. I've definitely been saving up for this, and I'm happy I have, because it's also very expensive, which isn't anything new for these kinds of Commander or Magic products for a while now. But yeah, I guess to end this video, I'm mostly just looking forward to my favorite character, Jet. I can't wait to see what Jet does personally. That's the card that's going to that's the card that I'm most into right now. Out of all the characters, yeah, Jet is maybe my favorite antagonist, definitely up there. I'm also looking forward to what the Emperor is going to do. Emperor Mateus, Final Fantasy II's main antagonist. I had assumed that the Emperor was going to be, has the potential to be a fairly busted card. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to focus on Final Fantasy II's main antagonist. Depending on how much they give a shit. The Emperor has the potential to be a pretty cool card. One of my favorite villains. It's pretty much just David Bowie as a Final Fantasy villain, but I mean, that's badass. What more could you want, really? And with that, I guess since it's still just me talking to myself, I might just wrap it up here. I think I'll have a lot more to say when more is released. I just kind of wanted to get something out there for now, for my current thoughts on what we have seen. I also wanted to explain maybe a little bit about what my prediction video was going to be, what it was going to even discuss. Pretty much just, I was going to make a prediction for every protagonist and antagonist. I was going to make a card for every protagonist, and then I was going to make a card for every antagonist, and just what happened is I ran into this problem where I was kind of having to make a few different antagonist cards because of Final Fantasy's, like, continued tradition of having, like, at least 2 prominent antagonists in many cases, or 1 main antagonist, but 1 antagonist that's like the most prominent throughout the game. And that was going to be it. But the easy part was going to be lumping them all together in the same colors, because again, it's coming from the assumption that protagonists would be Jeskai, Boros or Jeskai, antagonist Grixis, and then like decks. Like since there were going to be 4 decks. Made it a little harder. I was assuming they would split the characters up by having like Final Fantasy 1 through 6 for one deck, and then 7 to, I don't know, 16 in another deck. I thought they were going to Doctor Who it. You know, here's the deck of the protagonists, the good guys. They all have fairly similar colors because they have to for the deck. And I'm happy they didn't do that. I like this treatment much more. It'll flesh out the characters and make them feel more unique, which is good, because the protagonists and antagonists in Final Fantasy are not so easily lumped together. There's a drastic difference between the Warrior of Light and Terra. There's a drastic difference between even Furion and the Warrior of Light. Like, every protagonist is more unique than the last one. Well, I mean, up until like 6, when they started getting like real characterization. But yeah. I'm happy that prediction didn't pan out. I'm happy that I was at least wrong there. And then I am happy though that a lot of the colors seem to be pretty correct. My prediction for Sephiroth and Cloud is still kind of insane to me. I mean again, some of it was not like forbidden secret knowledge. I mean, what else would they be other than warriors? Well, I guess Sephiroth is a human avatar soldier, but still. Which again, kind of weird, because Sephiroth is like part alien. I don't know what their aversion to like at least calling some of these characters aliens is, but whatever. Other than that, what was I going to say? It's so damn late. I'm getting so much more tired than I thought I would be, and my connection is not getting better. Yeah. I'm interested to see what the next couple of spoilers are. Maybe I'll make another video again soon. I don't really love streaming, at least not for now. As you can kind of tell from some of the choppiness or bad quality in the stream. I'm not really prepared for it. But I kind of ride Final Fantasy really hard. I kind of glaze it maybe a little too much, even though I don't really play the games anymore. It's just like a nostalgia goggles media for me. I'm always just gonna have this like spot for it where I care for it a lot more than I maybe should now. Childhood game, franchise, whatever, that I just can't take the pink rose tinted goggles off, I suppose. The last thing I'm gonna say in this video of me constantly yapping before getting to the point and then forgetting that I need to stick on the point is, I think... Wow. My brain failed. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see what the other Tidus might do. I really hope it doesn't have an anime art. I can't wait to see what some of the other characters will do. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy VIII, because Squall is when I started really considering Jeskai for the colors of the characters. Squall, I think, represents Jeskai really well. And one thing I'm hoping for is for like the unique equipment too. We haven't seen unique equipment like the Masamune. I don't know. I've never looked up the way you pronounce Sephiroth's sword in my life, or Cloud's Buster sword. I can't wait to see what they do, but especially Squall's Gunblade, the Lionheart or whatever it is. I think that's the limit break, but I wonder how they're going to include if they do the junction system, because while that mechanic was cool in the game, it was kind of floundered, but the idea was you steal traits and like spells that the enemies have that you can use. And it was unique, definitely. Not as well executed as it could have been, but on a card I think it would be cool. Either on Squall or the equipment, most likely, where you just, I don't know, like pay one or do something, and then the sword gains the ability of some creature, of like an opponent's creature. I think that'd be cool. I'm kind of liking that idea. I hope that comes true. I just hope they implement the junction system on a card somehow. It'll be neat. Other than that, yeah, I can't wait to see what Jet does. I'm really riding on that right now. I really want Jet to be good, or at the very least fun and interesting, because I plan on going in hard on a Jet deck. I can't wait to see what the Emperor does too, as well. There's a few cards. There's quite a few cards in this set. I also can't wait to see what Clive does. I think I made a prediction for Noctis too, where I don't know exactly what it was. I'm kind of forgetting at the moment. But Noctis felt like out of any character in Final Fantasy, they would be the equipment deck, considering Noctis is all about conjuring the spectral weapons of his dead ancestors and all that shit. And just how many artifacts Noctis utilizes in general. I feel like Noctis is going to be a very unique and interesting equipment, artifact focus card, both in a way. And I'm really hoping it's not just some card with like Ward 10 and then, I don't know, make equipments cost less to attach onto them. I don't know, I'm really kind of hoping it's something unique, something I can't think of right now. I don't have a whole team of people designing this shit for me. But, yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I could actually say that isn't just me droning on about off-topic bullshit. I think I made a prediction that... Man, I made so many predictions. I don't even know what I'm saying. Oh yeah, Mild. I thought that... I was thinking Mild might make a return. I like Mild. I know some people have their own opinions about it. I just like when you combine two cards and it becomes a big card. I like that. I think it's cool looking. I thought some Final Fantasy characters have the potential to Mild. We'll see how that prediction pans out. I know one off the top of my head is from Final Fantasy 12. The main antagonist of that game Milds with that big dragon that gives him a cannon arm. I was thinking that would be a Mild card. Can't really come up with any other examples right now, but I think this set is ripe for Mild. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of flip cards. I had predicted that this set would have just so many different flip cards in it. And then unique equipment is a given. Pretty much every protagonist and even the party members past Final Fantasy VI has their own unique swords and whatnot with their own unique names and abilities. Limit breaks, I'm kind of interested just how far they'll go with limit breaks and what limit breaks will do if they are a thing. I don't even know what that would be. I mean, I'm assuming it would probably just have to be tacked on the card. Or maybe limit breaks could just be a very powerful instant or sorcery. I don't know, limit breaks are pretty iconic. Like, the most iconic things for Final Fantasy are like limit breaks, summons, and like the and like some of the equipment. Did I already say equipment? I don't know. Equipment, summons, limit breaks, and they're in like to an extent jobs, like the whole D&D aspect of like being a sorcerer and this being a warrior, mage, whatever. Yeah, those are pretty much the biggest things I'm still looking forward to. I'm gonna be constantly on the lookout for more spoilers because I really want to see if at least these few predictions will come true, or what they'll even be. Hardly a prediction, considering how vague I'm being, but again, I really don't know what they're going to do with these ideas. I mean, we've kind of seen what they're doing with summons, and I was right about that, but I feel like predicting what a limit break is going to do is a little harder, because, I mean, it really could just be a sorcery, more likely an instant. Some of them could maybe be an enchantment. And I don't know, kind of threw me for a curveball that Cecil flipped and Terra didn't, considering Terra's the one that actually transforms. Cecil doesn't necessarily transform, they just choose a permanent class to stick with, like, towards the end of the game. Regardless, whatever. I guess not all of the design decisions can make complete sense, but honestly not bad so far. Do I actually have anything else to say? Yeah, anything even remotely meaningful? I don't think I do. I think that's all I have. My brain is running out of power. Yeah. I don't know, I wouldn't normally make a video about Magic, but I glaze Final Fantasy so hard, I just kind of want to say something about this set in particular. This might be like the last actual Magic-centric video I ever make. So I'm sorry if anybody comes around and somehow finds it interesting, a random layman discussing a topic that is probably done better by many other professionals on YouTube. Professional card reviewers, I guess, if such a title exists. But yeah, I was maybe thinking about giving some more predictions for some of the other characters that I had made. But a lot of my predictions really just boil down to the antagonist transforms, will flip, in some cases milds, and might have like 3 different cards because of the insane way Final Fantasy handles antagonists, in which there's some kind of crazy batshit insane god that transforms or gets on their own volition or without their consent entirely mind possessed into some kind of alien monstrosity. That's always been something I've found pretty cool and interesting about Final Fantasy, is just the villains. Still can't stop coughing. I'm trying to think of anything else I can say about this before I decide to just wrap it up. I think I kind of wish that I could have been on the team designing this shit. That way, when I was asked what my favorite was, I could have said Final Fantasy VIII, and then we could have got a 5th commander deck for Final Fantasy VIII. Because that's, like, the other game that I ride hard. It's like Final Fantasy X, 8, and 9. Those are, like, my favorites. Speaking of 9, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with 9, actually. 9 has Zidane, which transforms in a similar manner to Terra. Well, very similar looking transformations too. I mean, both turn into like big pink naked things. One turns into a big pink naked girl, and then the other turns into a big pink naked monkey. I'm still hoping that Terra has a card in the set that actually does transform, like actually does flip, because it was so lame to me that trans was just some ability tacked onto the card. I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. It is just the face commander. Maybe in the deck that'll happen. I'm hoping that Zidane transforms though and flips. I think that'll be really cool. It would make a good amount of sense to me. And then what else? What else can I possibly say? Yeah. I don't know, I guess I'm interested if anybody does find this video and decides to comment on it. I'm kind of curious what maybe you liked about it or didn't like about it, or what maybe you're looking forward to from this. I think that'll be interesting. I feel like there's so much I'm missing here from this video, like predictions-wise, and also just how cool what we have seen is so far, and also some of the stuff that's maybe a little lame. Like, I know not everybody is into Cloud being so equipment focused and like the whole treasure thing, but like, I don't know, aside from the treasures, was there any other path for Cloud? And I'm asking this like in all sincerity because, again, Final Fantasy VII was not particularly like one of my personal favorites, so I didn't play much of it, but Cloud really does seem to me like someone who would be, to an extent, equipment focused. Not trying to like piss anybody off, I'm sorry, just not really my favorite. No, I only ride 10 and 8 and 9 mostly, and then for whatever reason 2's main antagonist, David Bowie. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in the comments, I guess, just tell me what maybe your ideas or your predictions might be. I'm interested in that. I like to read things that I might have missed, which is probably a lot. It's so late right now, and I actually streamed this earlier, but a whole lot of things came together to make it a shit show, so I deleted it. This one I think went pretty well. I say way too much is my only problem, because I'm not used to streaming. I so badly just want to edit this, but I'm just gonna leave it as is, as a random live stream. And with that, yeah, I can't wait to see what the Emperor does. Can't wait to see what a lot of the other villains do, especially Ultimecia. One last thought is, Ultimecia, I think out of any antagonist in this set, I feel like Ultimecia is probably going to be the card that'll add extra turns for you, like pay a little extra into Ultimecia, take an extra turn, or meet some kind of condition and take an extra turn. I'm not saying that that's a cool thing or people will love it, but if there's going to be any antagonist in this set, I was making the connection that Ultimecia, the literal time compression time sorceress, was probably going to be the card to do that. Just an off-the-wall thought, or just something I remembered from my prediction video before I scrapped it. But yeah, other than that, I can't wait to see what some of the villains are going to do. I can't wait to see what some of the main protagonists and whatnot from the actual set itself, and not just in the commander decks, are going to do. My hopes are just for Jet to at least be interesting and not something lame. I mean, I feel like Jet has to be a good card at the very least, or like unique, considering how prominent Jet is in Final Fantasy X, more or less. I mean, while not being the main antagonist, they're so to speak relegated in that role due to the simple fact that they're the more interesting boss fight at the end of the game. I was actually predicting Yu Yevon would be the lame card out of that set as far as the villains go, because you're fighting that character in their weakest state and not actually in their prime. But I'm starting to yap again. I'm just hoping, my final thoughts I guess are just that Jet is at least unique and fun, because I plan on building an entire commander deck just around Jet, solely Jet. I don't really know what my obsession with the drunk, neglectful father archetype is, with that specific type of facial hair, but that kind of character just really does it for me. And then the Emperor, I can't wait to see what that does. And yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this video. I'm really trying to wrap my head around anything I could have possibly missed, but nothing's really coming to mind right now. So yeah, interested to see what any comments will be, what you guys think about what has been revealed so far, and what you're either hoping for in future reveals, or what your predictions just in general might be. It's very late. I don't know if my stuff is just glitching out, or if nobody really showed them. It's just been me talking to myself the whole time, which, fine, fair enough. I don't know that I have the mental power right now to actually answer any, like, good questions. But, yeah. I think that's all I have right now. I might make another video up till there are more spoilers released, but I think I'm probably just gonna wait until the entirety of the Final Fantasy set has been released. And with that, I think that's gonna conclude my thoughts for now on the Final Fantasy set. Not the usual video I do for a channel like mine, which is mostly just, I don't actually know what my channel is described as. I guess I just go over random topics off the top of my head, whatever the hell I want to do. So I guess it's not too out of the norm. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I hope that you at least partially enjoyed this, and that my constant ums and off-topic veering off yapping was not too much of a hindrance. Maybe I'll do this again in the future. I mean, I guess there's only one way to get better at streaming, and that's to get comfortable doing it. But for now, I'm gonna go to sleep.